So first of all, thank you very much for joining today's webinar. ProStrategy are delighted to be hosting this webinar in partnership with Schouw, and Robert Emmon from Schouw has joined us today, and we're going to be focusing on how the Foodware 365 platform can support monitoring and managing food safety and quality. So just our agenda for today. My slides are slow in progressing here. So on today's webinar, the team you have is myself, John Lyons. I'm ProStrategy Sales and Marketing Director. We're delighted to be joined by Robert Emmon from Schouw. So Robert is our partner manager and is helping us come up and embrace the Foodware product and to be their partners here in Ireland. And then joined by my colleague Gianluca Luminato, who is one of our senior consultants and ERP project managers. And Gianluca is taking the lead within ProStrategy with the Foodware offering. So today, we're just going to give you a very brief overview of who ProStrategy are, but most people who've joined would probably know who we are, so I won't dwell on that. And then I'm going to hand over to Robert, and Robert is going to give us an overview of Schouw, the company, and also the solution and the customers that Schouw serve. And then following that, we'll hand over to Gianluca, and Gianluca will do a Foodware demo. And the demo will very much focus on monitoring and managing food safety and quality. So what we'll do is we'll look at registration of product specifications, handling non-conformance, tracking and tracing, qualitative inspection status, and quality control. So that's the agenda for today. So just to remind everyone, so ProStrategy have been in existence for nearly 35 years. We are a Microsoft Gold partner and an IBM Gold partner. We specialize in the implementation of ERP solutions, CRM and customer intelligence solutions, and enterprise performance management solutions for our customers. We have a team of 65 multidisciplined business and technology consultants who help guide our customers through end-to-end digital transformation. Our core capabilities are in the helping our clients streamline and automate business processes, the automation and integration of enterprise data, and the creation of business insights to drive your performance. Based on the Microsoft platform, we work with a number of companies to provide industry solutions, and today obviously is all about the food sector and our partner Schouw, who have the Foodware solution. Most of the people who've joined today would be customers of ProStrategy and therefore would know of our reputation for delivery success and our commitment to delivering for customers. So in our history, we have delivered over 100 ERP solutions, over 50 performance management solutions, and over 40 CRM and customer analytics solutions. So I'm going to not dwell on ProStrategy any further. I'm going to hand it over to Robert to talk to us about Schouw and the Foodware platform. So Robert, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jan, and also thank you very much for the people who are joining. Well, brief introduction. My name is Robert, and indeed I'm the partner manager from Schouw point of view for ProStrategy. But let me just talk a little bit about Schouw itself to give you a little bit of insights on what we are doing. So our target group, as you are able to see, is 100% food. We have built our own solution on top of the Microsoft Dynamics platform. And well, since the start, I think nearly a year since 1998 that we started, we decided to focus solely on food. We do that with over 135 employees, and we have 20 reselling worldwide. Our main customers are within fresh produce, bakery, fish, meat, dairy, and of course you have others. And therein we make a distinction between trade and production. As told, we built our platform on top of Microsoft Dynamics technology, and we also utilize other Microsoft tools, for example, business intelligence. We see Microsoft Dynamics the same as ProStrategy. We see them as our technology leading partner. We have a certain approach regarding to projects, which we are kind of firmly holding on to in every implementation, and we do that due to the success that it has given us in the past. One of the most important things that we always wanted to point out when a company is doing a new ERP implementation is really the change management aspect of it. You need to prepare that this is a moment that you are, well, able to reevaluate your processes. Maybe you have some quirks that are still possible within every company. We call that approach our food fit. Part of that approach is the workshops, for example, that ProStrategy also delivers. When I talk further regarding to the value chain that we are in, could you please go to the next slide? All right, so we are actually focusing from field to fork. The only thing that we don't do is cattle and the real grower part, but we do help grower organizations. We are quite strong and in logistics and production, and we are, well, since lately focusing more and more on retail itself as well. For example, we have built an own EDI module recently that we are trying to distribute first within the Netherlands and then maybe later on within via our partner network as well. Within the entire supply chain, we have, of course, the entire food sub-branches, as I would like to call them, from bakery to cookie to dairy to coffee to fresh produce, of course, to bread, to almost everything. The only thing that we are not specialized in is alcohol, and that is due to the strict Dutch regulation regarding to alcohol. For the rest, we do everything except, well, as told earlier, the grower part / cattle and the alcohol part. I've also picked some of the references that we have, and I do want to point out actually I think 2 of them that are known, well, I think across Europe. That's Domino's. We do the project for Domino's, well, Australia, but Domino's Australia owns a lot of the Domino's franchises within Europe as well. So we did a lot of projects with them. And Yakult is a very known name, of course, from the drinks. We helped them with our ERP solution and Foodware solution as well. Furthermore, you have Nature Sprite, of course, and Capespan, especially Capespan is quite big. All right, so going further to the biz apps and the platform, and to give you a little bit of insight on what we do. So the foundation for us is really Dynamics 365, which is a gathering name, an umbrella brand from Microsoft for finance and operations, which is the enterprise solution, Business Central, which is really focusing on SMB, CRM, that's customer relation management, CSM, and HRM. So on top of that, we build our partner-specific industry solution, so our vertical, which is called Foodware 365. Our vertical consists out of multiple things. So, for example, we have added some shop floor to enable the people on the production, within the production facility, to register everything good, to optimize their processes within the production facility. Some quality check, quality control, of course, with the increasing importance of quality, and especially increasing awareness of the consumers regarding to quality and regarding to food itself. It's one of the most heavy-weighted topics, and Gianluca will tell much more about it later on. But also product specifications and catch rates, and these are just some modules that we have built over the past 20 years for our solution. Besides that, of course, you have Office. So when I'm mentioning the platform, maybe you've noticed already, I don't mention ERP solely. I mention the platform because we try to utilize everything that Microsoft offers. So this includes Office as well. So Office is really the foundation for businesses that they use. Outlook, for example, is highly used. This all is the Power Platform. And with the Power Platform, we also have the Power Apps. So we decided to do some things not within the core ERP itself, but to give it in an app, for example. So shop floor control, you are able to decide to do that on an app or to do that within the ERP solution, so within Business Central. And this all talks to each other, so to speak, via the Azure Cloud Services. The Azure Cloud Services are actually the gateway for the different applications to talk to each other. So you have one unified information overview available for your management or for everyone within the organization. Another thing that we have built and that we utilize a lot is business intelligence, BI. So that's really management reportings. Artificial intelligence. So, well, Gianluca is going to show a little bit more, but we've done we have done quite some things already regarding to that. If you want to know more, please check. We have enough articles that will verify it. And Internet of Things, of course, as well. And we see a major change due to Microsoft App Store. So I think it's a consequence of the App Store for iPhone, for example, or the Google Play Store for Android. You see these things are, well, popping up in the B2B world as well. So this entire platform, what we use eventually, is what we call Foodware 365, and it's our foundation which we provide to our partners, and in this case to ProStrategy, to help and to help the food businesses with their processes. So this was a slide and brief introduction about Foodware. If you want to know more, well, feel free to reach out to me as well, or to ProStrategy. They're able to tell you much more, but I think we need to go on and move on to Gianluca, who will take you through the software via a demonstration that he prepared.
Yeah, so I'm just going to hand the screen over to Gianluca, and Gianluca will take us through the demonstration of monitoring and managing food safety and quality and enabling compliance. So just make Gianluca the presenter.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining this webinar. So my task today is to show a little bit more about the Foodware platform, and I'm going to give you two different flavors of the Foodware solution. So one will be through a web client, like this is, you can see on the screen, or I can also give you another option of the user interface, which is the Windows client. So they are both clients that can be used to access the solution, and also the solution can also be accessible using a tablet client or a phone client. Obviously, depending on the client or the user interface will change and will make sense depending on the type of user. So the phone is usually more suitable for something like an approval process, while the tablet can be used for more data entry or showing parts of the information in the screen. If you're not familiar with the Dynamics 365 Business Central user interface, what I'm showing now is the sort of the home page, where you have what's called a role center, where the system is showing me some key indicators. These are called queues, and are giving me some key indicators for action that I might be that might have to take as part of my daily activity. So I'm now logged in as a quality manager, and so I can see I have some number of customer non-conformances, vendor non-conformances, or other type of activities or document which might require my attention. And if I click on the link on that queue, that will bring me to the documents which are part of that indicator. So that's basically the home page. Very similar way I can do on the web client, where I can navigate and access directly whatever functionality through a more a browser client. So the Foodware solution has several features added on top of Business Central, and they are tightly integrated with the solution. So they're basically, you have, if you use the Business Central, then it will be basically user interface. Obviously, it's consistent, and then you would be just using different functionalities. So we have picked some of the features or functionalities to show you today, and which are we believe it might be interesting to see. And then I'm going to show them now to you, and then if you are more interested in getting more details or looking at other features or functionalities, we're more than happy to provide you a specific demo for that. So I will start today with product specifications, and in particular I will start from raw material product specifications. So with Foodware, you can define and manage information related to the product, and I'm talking about different type of specifications, which can also lead to the generation of a typical label. So I have already here a product specification created for a raw material. And as you can see now, it's sort of this gray user interface, which means that it's not editable. And this is because the status of these product specification is certified. So the system is able to manage a status and make sure that you don't modify something which is now has been certified, has been checked. So if I change these to under development, now this becomes editable. As you might have noticed, there is a version number, so you can have different versions of the product specification. So one can be the actual certified one, and you can create a new one, which has been next version, still under development. And once you have finished preparing or working on the changes, then you can make it certified and becoming the actual active version. As you can see now, the active version is number 1. So every product specification is linked to a product, in this case a raw material. The product is this one, it's just a salami. Okay, this is a demo database I'm working on, and it's giving me some additional information coming from the item card. And if I now scroll down, so I can the general section, it's one example of fast tab, which is a collapsible section in the system. So if I click, I can collapse that section, I can move another section which might contain information or different type of information of the product specification. So you have some microbiological information, so coliforms and so on. So you can enter all the information you want, and then you can have some dietary information. You can see some example which might be applicable or not to your specific type of products or business. So you can say if it's suitable for vegetarian or vegan or other type of user. You can have some organoleptic information, some more specific information depending on the type of the product. So you have some percentages of poultry, or if it's red meat or pork, you can have different type of fields, so you can see and fill in all the relevant information. Obviously, you're only working on the ones which might be relevant for that specific product. Not only that, the more interesting part, it's related to ingredients and allergens and nutritional values. So if I'm looking at the ingredients page for this product specification, you can see you can enter where are your ingredients for your products, and you can have, they can be either ingredient or just additive. You can pick from a list, obviously, of predefined ingredients, and you can define the percentage of which are making up of the product, and they can be also categorized. Also, the system will tell you based on the category the total of the percentage for the specific category. So in this case, you can see this is 175, but these ones that they don't have a specific category, they made up basically 97% of the product. You can also specify this might be or might not be applicable to your specific industry if they're part of these of the QID list. So now you might be going back in more details. So, and it's telling you obviously the total when you enter in, just to make sure you have the 100%. You can also decide if the element must be printed or not in the in your ingredient list, obviously. Thinking about the allergens. So you have your predefined list of allergen codes, and you can say if there is a presence of an allergen or not. So if it's not present, if it's present, or if it's not sure or unknown. You can also use the LIDA sort of coding, which is sort of can be present, absent, or unknown, or it could be a risk of cross-contamination. So it might be there due to some other elements being present. Now, what I wanted to show you, I'm not going to change it for now, but because one of the big advantages of this module is not just that you can define your product specifications, but the system can use your, for example, the bill of material of your product, so that once you define ingredients or product specifications, allergens, all this information on raw materials, then the product specification of the end product or the finished product can be built based on their components or the ingredients of your finished product. So in this case, for example, this product code was, just giving back a second up here. This product, it's here. I can check, for example, using the where used function, where this raw material is used, and I can see that it's using these two products, so EP 0220 and so on. So I can basically, if I go back to the main menu, I also have end product specifications. And if I'm going to my end product specifications, I have one defined here for a finished product which contains the other raw material I was showing to you. So if I'm looking, for example, here at the allergen list, just to demonstrate the functionality, so you can see there is no gluten currently in this product specification. So if I'm going back to the my raw material that I was modifying previously, and I go into allergens, and now I say, okay, there is presence of gluten for this raw material, and I can change these now to be active and certified. And I go back to my end product specification. I can update automatically. So I can use these calculate food declaration function. And what's happening is now that if I'm looking at the list of allergens, now I can see that gluten is now appearing on the finished product. So obviously these can be for anything. You can have different information to be rolled up from the raw material to the finished product. You can also enter obviously nutritional values. And again, this one can be also manually entered or calculated, as you can see in this way, in this case, from the raw material. Okay, so that's just a flavor of the product specifications. Now we'll move now on. I might show you on the Windows client just to give you another flavor of these, which can give you the same. You get the same information. I'm connected to the same database. It's just a different user interface. So if I'm just to demonstrate to you, so I have the same product specification card can be accessed and modified through the Windows client as well. Now, if I move on, I want to talk to you a little bit about customer non-conformances. And as an example, we could use the example that, so you are on the phone, you receive a phone call from one of your customers, which is complaining about the quality of some of the products they received today. So I can just click new, and I'm now going to create a new customer non-conformance. Obviously, I can do that directly from the customer card or for any other page, which is specifically to that customer. And I can start entering some element of these customer non-conformances. Obviously, the system will automatically set receipt date, who created the non-conformances, and I can start looking at how did I receive these non-conformances by email, by phone. And now it's automatically obviously set in status new because I just created. And I can, based on the formula, I can also have a due date for these non-conformances. By default, you can see this is set 7 days from today. I can also assign a responsible person, so I can pick who should be dealing with these non-conformances request. And now next step usually is that, okay, who is my customer? So I can pick from the list, I can search using whatever information I want on the list. I can pick this customer. And I can also obviously select the contact person who raised the complaint, or I can enter other manual contact. Now, typically the next step is, okay, what is your customer complaining about? So what's the shipments, or what's the information? What's the product? So typically the next step will be using function and get shipment lines to retrieve the list of shipments that have been sent to that customer. And so I can basically now select which product or products the non-conformances will be about. So I can click, select my lines, click OK. Oh, sorry, I picked one which is already used. So I put the other two lines were not linked. Okay. Now, to make better use of the screen, I can also collapse different section and make this section at the center bigger, so that I can I can make it easier for me to enter these informations. And the same thing on a very similar way I can do into the web client. I want to show you quickly. So if I'm going to the customer non-conformances, I can see these customer non-conformances. You see the screen, it's very similar. And if I scroll down to the pages here. Now I can make these bigger and start working in a better way. As you can see, the user interface is very similar. And even though I'm working in a browser, it's very rich. So I can basically doing the same thing in both of these clients. Now you can work now on the lines. You can select, you can amend quantities in case it would make sense to because if the complaint is regarding maybe a subset of the product, just a smaller quantity. As you can see, there is a kilogram quantity because this product is a catch weight item. So I shipped 100 boxes, but the system is automatically that's part of the feature of Foodware 365 is able to manage the actual weight of the product that has been shipped to the customer. I can select the correction type if it would be I will receive a return or will be just a credit for these products, and I can change the amount in case I want to put the amount. I can put now a category. So what type of issues or complaints? So it is maybe a product quality issue, and I can also go down and say, okay, it's what kind of quality issue it is. The taste is not good, and so on. And I can put additional information regarding cause of the issues, or more going. This is more probably the next step of the investigation of the handling of the non-conformances. What might be the reasons for these non-conformances? Not only that, so what I can also do once I have sort of qualified my request from the customer, I can also you see there's an action on the top called Get Default Action Lines. So I can click that, and then based on the type of the category of the product, the system can automatically suggest actions to be done, to be taken by the responsible person for these non-conformances, so that the I can proceed and go on to the next step, and these can appear on my my calendar as an action to be required, and I can check when it was finished, if it was finished, who did it, and when. Now let me go back one step, and I want to show you another interesting functionality of this screen. So because I selected certain shipment, related to that shipment, I also have a lot number, and I can always investigate and see how many lots, because that could have been related to multiple lots. So I could have basically accessed, I could have had multiple lots. So what I could do, now I might show you in the, sorry, if I'm jumping around in the Windows client, it would be just easier to see. So what I could do is, if I open the lot information card, what I could do is to use this is it's basically a general overview of the lot information card. But what I can do different things, and I just wanted to mention that in Foodware 365 you could assign inspection statuses to specific lots. So an example would be if you had, because that lot number, received a complaint from a customer, you could block that lot number. So put a different inspection status, and sort of make sure that the system won't allow that remaining part of that lot, if I have in stock, to be used by another shipment to another customer. So let me just go back and I just so give me a second. So that's, for example, it's the lot card. Now, what I wanted to show you is basically the item tracing. Once I have the item card, what I can also do is use this item tracing functionality. And this is very useful to identify what. So once, not only I can identify the lot number of the product which has problems, but I can also identify where, when basically I received that product. And I can see now that I shipped this product using the sales shipment, but I received from these purchase shipment. So I can now access basically that purchase receipt, and I can see that that product, when was received, who was the supplier. And now from there, I can basically start creating a, for example, a vendor non-conformances to sort of send to the supplier and I don't know, request for, again, for a credit regarding that product, or start letting my supplier know that there was an issue, a quality issue. Or I can also identify from this document any other shipment for that lot. So I can go back from the individual shipment to the actual receipt of goods, but I can also identify any other shipment for the same lot. If that lot might have been shipped to several customers, then I can start calling those customers and recall the products that had some quality issue. So this is called track and tracing. So that's another features added on top of standard Business Central. Now, let's go back, and I wanted to show you now another functionality, which is basically quality control specifications. Now I can use an existing one, so you can have obviously several quality control specifications, and they can be regarding different products or product groups. Even the quality specification can have versioning, and you can also associate quality specification to a checkpoint code. So this means that you can have the system automatically trigger the request for a quality check at different stages. So it could be, for example, when you receive certain type of products, quality checks might be required, or might be required every certain number of receipts. And also, or you can have a checkpoint code when a product is being moved to a specific location, or before shipments, or at certain stages in the production. Again, a quality specification a status, so it could be open or certified, or a certain time can be closed, or it could be customer specific or vendor specific, or it could be a more generic quality check and quality specification. So you can then go down and look at different parameters for the product specifications. So this is metal detection, for example, but if I move to a different specification, for example, this one, this is a more packaging check on output. So these has two steps. There is a check packaging, and then there is a temperature check. So a check packaging, now I can also have within the product specification, I can have specification steps, which is they're giving me more details on what what's required to be done. In this case, just a visual inspection with the result. Or I can have, for the temperature check in the specification steps, that's basically, I have to measure an internal temperature using some tool. And you can also associate tool and so on. So equipments in case they are required, what kind of equipment they need, and additional documentation required. Now, obviously, you define, and for each parameter code, or you can define then the steps and then define other information like what's the sample quantity of the unit of measure, how many samples they have to be done, and the type of result, again, it can be qualified as a list of options, or it could be a numerical value like a temperature, and then the system can give you then a grading when you are defining when you're using the quality control. So for example, just to do a very quick example for quality check registration, I could create a new quality check registration. I can select either an item category code or an item number or both. So let's say I pick meat and then I pick, for example, my salami. And then I can also have the system suggest me what kind of check. In this case, there's no valid one because I need to specify the checkpoint. So what kind of check do I have to do on receipt, for example? I can do get for specification. Now the system is telling me here is adding automatically that I need to do a temperature check. And I can go and say, okay, I can check and enter the actual value, so the result value for these quality check. You know, I have the steps here, so I can have going in here and say, okay, this was 3 degrees, and then I can have the system calculate if there is doing any additional calculation. So if I do a calculate results, then it will tell me, I think at some stage here, that it's the conclusion, it's poor quality. The temperature is not, it is within an allowed range, but it's not ideal based on the definition of this quality check. So I think these sort of give you just a flavor. I know there's not much time to show you in detail, but we just wanted to sort of give you enough information to sort of get a better understanding on what's possible, and just on showing you some of the number of features that have been added on top of Business Central by the Foodware 365 platform. So I think you can just return control to John.
Thank you very much, Gianluca. Yes, I am back in control. I'll just put myself back on presentation mode here. So that's a great taster, and as you say, is only really an introduction to the functionality that is capable, that the Foodware solution offers. So in the demo there, Gianluca took us through registration of product specifications, handling non-conformance, tracking, tracing, qualitative inspection status, and general quality control. So that is probably as much as we were hoping to cover today. You know, the webinar is only allows so much time. But if there's anybody who would have any questions, we'd be more than happy to take them and talk them through with you. So it seems as if we don't have any questions currently. What we might do, what we will do is we're recording this webinar. So we will forward a link to the webinar to everybody in the coming days as soon as it's downloaded, and we'll send the link on to you. Our contact details obviously will be there, and if there's anything at all that you would like to explore further, we'd be more than happy to set up either an individual webinar or indeed come and meet with you for a face-to-face meeting to understand your own requirements in a little more detail and discuss the possibility of how the Foodware solution could address your needs. So with that, I think we'll bring the webinar to an end. I just want to thank Robert for joining us and giving us a great introduction to Schou and the Foodware platform. Thank Gianluca for getting through quite a lot in a very short period of time. And thank all the participants for joining today. So we look forward to having the opportunity to talk with you further in the coming weeks and months. So thank you very much.
All right, John, thank you again. I think it was a good webinar.
Yeah, I think so too. We shall follow up with the